Let's start our first news with Magomed Ankalaev calling for Alex Pereira to drop back down to 205 pounds. Ankalaev is set to face Bogdan Guskov this weekend at UFC Abu Dhabi, but before stepping into the octagon, he shared his thoughts on Alex Pereira's recent heavyweight loss to Cyril Gane. Pereira made the move up to heavyweight, hoping to prove that his power could carry over against the biggest fighters in the sport. However, according to Ankalaev, the matchup was always going to be a difficult challenge, especially against a fighter like Gane. Ankalaev explained that he watched the fight and wasn't surprised by the way it unfolded. In his view, Gane is a true heavyweight with the speed, technical ability, and movement needed to create serious problems for someone making the jump up in weight. For Ankalaev, Pereira's experience at heavyweight showed exactly why the division is such a difficult place to compete. The size difference, combined with Gane's speed and technical skills, made the fight a tough transition for the former champion. But Ankalaev also believes Pereira has another option, and that's one he would love to see happen. When asked whether Pereira should remain at heavyweight, Ankalaev made it clear that the decision ultimately belongs to Alex. However, if he had the choice, he would want Pereira to return to the light heavyweight division. The reason is simple. Ankalaev wants a rubber match. The two fighters have already shared the octagon twice, with their rivalry producing plenty of tension and controversy. Now, Ankalaev appears to be hoping Pereira will move back down to 205 pounds, giving them the opportunity to settle their rivalry once and for all. For now, Pereira's next move remains uncertain, but Ankalaev has made his preference very clear. Move on to another news. Justin Gaethje has shut down the idea of an immediate rematch with Ilya. The lightweight champion has made his position very clear, and it could be a major setback for Ilya's hopes of getting another shot at the title. In a recent interview with RMC Sport Combat, Gaethje discussed the current lightweight title picture and explained why he believes both Arman and Max Holloway deserve to be ahead of Ilya in the championship race. According to Gaethje, Ilya is simply not fighting him next, and from his perspective, there is a very obvious reason why. Gaethje believes Arman has done more than enough to earn the next opportunity. He also believes Holloway should be considered ahead of Ilya because both fighters have strong cases for another title opportunity. Gaethje also pushed back against the idea that his victory over Ilya was somehow a lucky result. He made it clear that he didn't score a fortunate knockout or win because of a random moment. Instead, Gaethje believes he dominated the fight and earned the victory through his performance. That's why he thinks Ilya needs to go back to the drawing board and get another win before receiving another championship opportunity. Gaethje even suggested that Ilya could potentially return to the featherweight division at 145 pounds. From Gaethje's perspective, the lightweight title picture is already crowded, and Ilya shouldn't automatically jump back into championship contention after losing his previous fight. For now, Gaethje appears to be looking toward other contenders, with Arman and Holloway positioned ahead of Ilya in his eyes. That means Ilya could have a tough road ahead if he wants another shot at the lightweight championship, while Gaethje seems determined to move forward with the next deserving contender. Move on to another news. Ian Garry is once again finding himself at the center of attention after several fighters appeared to mock him over comments he made during an episode of the High Performance podcast. The controversy started after a clip from the interview began circulating online. During the conversation, Ian shared his personal opinion about why he believes women should run the world. Ian explained that people should look at their wives and recognize that they are the people they need to listen to. He went on to say that, in his view, the world would be a better and simpler place if women were in charge. According to Ian, if women ruled the world and everyone simply listened to them, things would become easier and less complicated. However, his comments quickly caught the attention of other fighters, and some of the reactions were anything but supportive. Josh Hockett shared the clip on X and responded with a sarcastic message aimed directly at Ian's argument. Hockett listed several qualities he believes are important for great leadership, including logical decision-making, consistency, avoiding erratic behavior, controlling emotions, and not being overly concerned about what other people think. He then sarcastically suggested that women supposedly demonstrate those qualities better than anyone else. Hokit finished his post by acknowledging that Ian is a great fighter, but then added an insulting remark that quickly attracted attention online. The reaction didn't stop there. Marvin Vettori also jumped into the conversation, responding to Ian's comments with another harsh insult. His message was short, but the meaning was very clear, as he questioned how Ian could make such statements. Then came Sean Strickland, who didn't need a long explanation. Strickland simply replied with the same insult, keeping his response extremely brief. The entire situation has now created another wave of discussion around Ian, with fighters and fans debating his comments and the reactions that followed. Whether Ian intended his remarks to be taken seriously or simply as his personal opinion, the clip has clearly struck a nerve with several members of the MMA community. And with Hokit, Vettori, and Strickland all taking shots at him, Ian Garry is once again dealing with a storm of attention outside the octagon. Move on to another news. Kamaru Usman may have stepped into the octagon against Du Plessis while dealing with a serious injury that could completely change the way fans look at that fight. During the latest episode of the Pound for Pound podcast, Usman reflected on his loss to Du Plessis and discussed some of the difficulties he experienced during the fight. At one point, Henry Cejudo suddenly revealed a major detail that had apparently not been widely known. According to Cejudo, Usman entered the fight while dealing with a torn pec. The revelation immediately added another layer to the matchup. Usman also discussed one of the moments that caused him problems during the fight, explaining that he was caught by a punch that landed with the thumb near his eye. Although the fist was closed and the strike was considered legitimate, Usman said the thumb went directly into the area around his eye, causing it to swell almost immediately. Despite the injury and the difficult circumstances, Usman made it clear that he wasn't interested in making excuses for the loss. Cejudo pointed out that the torn pec could have had a major impact on Usman's ability to wrestle and defend takedowns. He questioned how Usman could consistently reach certain positions and execute his wrestling game effectively if he wasn't physically capable of using his chest properly. According to Cejudo, Usman was essentially taking a risk every time he attempted to compete with that injury. But Usman still gave credit where it was due. He acknowledged that sometimes fighters take chances with injuries, and everything works out without anyone ever finding out what they were dealing with. This time, however, things didn't go his way. Instead of blaming the injury, Usman praised Du Plessis for his performance. He admitted that Du Plessis is a very good fighter who is tough, physically strong, and extremely unorthodox. Usman explained that Du Plessis often does things that fighters aren't necessarily supposed to do, but somehow manages to make those unusual techniques work. For Usman, the defeat was part of the challenge he accepted when he stepped in to face one of the top contenders at 185 pounds. As for what's next, Usman said he needs to sit down with his coaches and team, assess everything, and then decide on his next move. But regardless of what comes next, he made sure to give Du Plessis his flowers for earning the victory. Move on to another news. There could be some good signs for Conor's potential UFC return despite the serious knee injury that has raised questions about his future. Ever since Conor suffered the injury at UFC 329, fans have been debating whether this could mark the end of his MMA career. The Irish superstar has repeatedly insisted that he plans to return to the octagon, but at 38 years old, with several major injuries already behind him, the road back will certainly be challenging. However, not everyone believes his latest injury should prevent him from fighting again. Dominic Cruz recently offered a more optimistic perspective while speaking with Ariel Helwani. Cruz explained that based on what he had heard, Conor suffered an ACL and meniscus injury, and according to Cruz, that combination can be repaired successfully. Cruz also explained why he believes the injury could actually allow for a faster recovery than some other serious knee problems. He pointed out that if Conor had suffered an MCL injury, the recovery process could have been much more restrictive in the early stages. With that type of injury, Cruz suggested that a fighter could be forced to remain relatively immobile for weeks before even beginning to properly bend the leg. But with an ACL and meniscus injury, Cruz believes Conor should be able to begin moving the leg relatively quickly, which could help accelerate the rehabilitation process. That assessment carries some weight because Cruz knows exactly what it's like to deal with serious knee injuries. The former UFC champion spent significant periods of his own career on the sidelines because of knee problems. Yet despite those setbacks, he managed to return to competition and eventually win championship gold again. So, from Cruz's perspective, a serious knee injury does not automatically mean the end of a fighter's career. The bigger issue surrounding Conor may not be whether his body can recover, but whether he still has the motivation to go through another long and difficult rehabilitation process. By this time next year, Conor will be approaching 39 years old, and financially, he has already achieved more than most fighters could ever imagine. That leaves one major factor: his desire to compete. If Conor can stay focused, complete his recovery, and maintain the determination that made him one of MMA's biggest stars, there may still be a path toward one final UFC fight. Move on to another news. Jon Anik has shared a surprising prediction about Justin Gaethje's future, and he doesn't believe the former lightweight champion will ever fight again. Speaking about Gaethje's career, Anik admitted that he genuinely doesn't expect to see him return to the octagon. According to Anik, there may now be some pressure coming from Gaethje's family, which could play a role in his decision about whether to continue competing. Anik also revealed that he feels almost alone in wanting Gaethje to walk away from the sport. While many MMA fans naturally want to see their favorite fighters compete for as long as possible, Anik explained that he would actually prefer to see Gaethje retire rather than continue taking more punishment. Another person involved in the discussion agreed completely with Anik's opinion. The argument is that Gaethje may have already reached the perfect ending to his career. After everything he has accomplished and every brutal battle he has survived, there may be no better moment for him to step away than now. Anik suggested that the circumstances surrounding Gaethje's latest fight were almost magical. From the build-up to the atmosphere and the significance of the matchup, everything came together in a way that could create the perfect final chapter. For a fighter who has spent years competing in some of the most violent and memorable battles in MMA history, walking away on top could be the ultimate reward. Gaethje has built his reputation by taking on the toughest opponents available and delivering unforgettable fights. His career has been filled with wars that have made him one of the most respected fighters in the sport. That's exactly why Anik believes he deserves the opportunity to leave the game on his own terms. Instead of risking another difficult fight and potentially ending his career on a low note, Gaethje could choose to walk away while fans are still celebrating everything he has accomplished. For Anik, there may be no better ending than a true Cinderella story for one of MMA's most beloved warriors. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett appeared visibly annoyed after a streamer approached him while he was spending time with his family. The interaction was caught on camera and quickly started attracting attention online, with fans discussing Paddy's reaction to the unexpected encounter. The streamer approached Paddy and immediately greeted him enthusiastically, asking how he was doing and telling him that they loved him. Paddy initially appeared to acknowledge the attention, but the situation quickly became more awkward when the streamer asked him to record a video. The streamer explained that he was currently live streaming and wanted to capture a moment with the UFC star. He continued talking to Paddy, telling him how much he loved his fighting and expressing his admiration for the lightweight contender. Paddy responded politely, thanking him for the compliment. However, the interaction seemed to become increasingly uncomfortable as the streamer continued trying to get his attention. At one point, the streamer appeared to encourage Paddy to interact with the camera again, using Paddy's popular nickname and celebrating his presence. While Paddy didn't appear to completely lose his temper, his body language suggested that he wasn't particularly happy about being approached during what seemed to be private family time. For a fighter as recognizable as Paddy, these types of encounters are almost impossible to avoid. His popularity has exploded over the past few years, and fans often want to get a photo, record a video, or simply say hello whenever they see him in public. But this moment also highlights the difficult side of being a high-profile UFC fighter. Paddy may appreciate the support from his fans, but there are moments when fighters simply want to spend time with their families without being interrupted or placed in front of a camera. The streamer clearly appeared to be a huge Paddy fan, and there was no indication that he intended any harm. Still, Paddy's reaction suggested that the timing of the interaction was not ideal. The brief encounter has now sparked plenty of discussion, with fans debating whether Paddy was justified in appearing annoyed or whether public figures should simply expect these kinds of interactions wherever they go.